Now, I'm not one to gossip, but I will bring you the tea. Welcome to Chronicle Speaks.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you.
We have made it to trial day number 15. We are halfway through the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial. So let's recap yesterday. So yesterday, the trial was largely dominated by the continued cross-examination of his former assistant that we know as Mia. Now, Mia remained composed and firm while on the stand despite aggressive questioning from the defense, who accused her of fabricating the abuse that she described. Defense attorney Brian Steele grilled Mia hard. It was a long day of repetitive questioning to the point where Judge Arun Subramanian had to continue to tell him, move on.
In my
Now, Mia strongly denied those claims, holding her ground throughout the tense exchange. Now, although her testimony consumed most of the day, prosecutors were able to squeeze in one more witness before court adjourned for the day. Sylvia Oken, a custodian at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Custodians like Oken are typically called to explain behind-the-scenes data, like records or billing details that might otherwise confuse jurors. Oken referenced 2 cleaning fees linked to Diddy's hotel stays, one notably listed as a charge for oil damage, which could support claims of disturbing incidents occurring in those rooms. Now, her testimony was very short, wrapping up court for the day. However, when the proceedings resume, jurors are expected to hear from Eddie Garcia, who is a hotel security guard who witnessed and documented Diddy physically assaulting Cassie Ventura in 2016. Now, I want to note that Garcia has been given an immunity deal. Prosecutors also announced that another anonymous accuser referred to as Jane is scheduled to testify either Wednesday or Thursday, so we're looking to hear from her as well. As of yesterday, we've heard from 21 of the prosecution's witnesses, and each day we learn something new. So let's see what day number 15 is going to bring. But before we get into that, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this case and so much more. Now let's get back into it. Not a whole live heckler coming into the courtroom screaming at Diddy. I know Diddy's sitting up there with that bottom bubble gum lip hanging out like, what? Don't play with me. Y'all know Diddy's mouth is always open. But the government's prosecutors just alerted the court about an individual who broke the pseudonym order for Mia. This person, the government said, was in the courthouse Monday and used Mia's real name in the public square. So the government was in the middle of saying it planned to tell the court's chief security officer about the person who violated the order. That person didn't appear in court today, but will be escorted out if court officials see them. Now today, someone began heckling Sean Combs, yelling out an expletive. That person was escorted out the room, and there's no indication that it's the same person the government said disclosed Mia's identity yesterday. Just after this interruption, several reporters rushed out of the press room to try to catch a glimpse of the disruptor. Now, a portion of today will focus on the CNN cell phone footage that we've all seen of Diddy attacking Cassie Ventura. The government is expected to call a video expert today to explain the correct sequence of events. Combs' lawyers are highly opposed to showing this footage to jurors again, with attorney Tini Garagos calling it unduly prejudicial. So to start the day, the courtroom deputy says, "Marshals, can you bring the defendant out? Oh, I think Mr. Donaldson is in there in the holding cell with Mr. Combs." Combs is then brought in. Judge Subramanian said, "Let's start with the compilation video. Is Mr. Garcia competent to testify about this video, given his position in the hotel security?" Prosecutor Steiner says, "I have not really asked him about that aspect." Judge says, "We are not using the correct cell phone video, so this could get in under the rules." Tini Garagos with the defense says the way the video is cut makes it appear that Mr. Combs came right after Ms. Ventura, and he didn't. Steiner says, "I'd like to address the timestamps on the security videos. They are routinely inaccurate." Judge says the defense's concern could be allayed by inserting breaks between the clips. Prosecution says since they will be testifying, it's hard for them to be editing the clips at the same time. We don't think it's misleading. Judge says the defense can cross-examine on this. Prosecution says, given that the defense played the video of Mia's birthday for Mr. Combs, we want to introduce recordings of his jail phone calls about organizing social media celebrations of his birthday, which he views as a way to change the narrative.
Keep going,
Happy birthday to Daddy.
Yay!
We love you too.
Prosecutor says there was someone broadcasting Mia's name just outside the courthouse in Foley Square yesterday. We'd ask, and then all of a sudden someone says from the back of the courtroom, "Diddy, they're coming after you. Those mother." Judge says court security officers escort that person. Now, judge continues by saying the video timestamps. How long is it? If 40 minutes, it would be a good 403 argument. Agnifilo says this could be an easy fix, but the witness on this will be on the stand in 2 hours. Judge says, where does he live? New York? Prosecution says Florida. Judge says, bring in the jury. All rise. Jurors, there are some scheduling modifications, including that on June 11th. We will not start until 1 p.m. Also, June 5th from 11 to 4, and June 20th, the day after Juneteenth, we'll stop at 1 p.m. Call the next witness. The government calls Eddie Garcia. Where did you work on the day in question? The Intercontinental Hotel. I was told there was an incident involving Sean Combs. Do you see him here? Steele from the defense's side says we stipulate, so Steele will be doing the cross. Prosecution says, let me show you your sign-in sheet for that day. Garcia says, yes, I signed that week ending March 10, 2016. Could you monitor all the cameras? Not all, but more than one at a time. Would you be required to check the monitors? Yes. Did you initially recognize the individual involved in this incident? No, not at first, but when I looked closer, yes, it was definitely Mr. Sean Combs. And did you learn about the second individual and who that was? Yes, Miss Cassie Ventura. Why was law enforcement not called? Miss Ventura did not request it. Did you receive the incident report? Yes, there was an attachment that I didn't open on the computer, a video file. Did you receive a call? Yes. From who? Christina Coram.
Christina's gone. She packed all her things and some of yours and left.
I'm sorry for this brief intermission, but if they don't bring Christina Coram to the forefront, being that she just ended her employment with Mr. Combs this year. So Garcia continues, Christina Coram with the New York area code. She asked if I had the video. Prosecution says, what did she ask for? The video. She said Mr. Combs had been intoxicated and didn't remember exactly. Objection, says Steele. Sustained, says the judge. Prosecution says sidebar. So now they have a sidebar. So while we're having this sidebar, where is Christina Coram? Where is D-Rock? Where is Farnsworth Bentley? These are the questions we need to know, but let's get back to it. Okay, we're back from sidebar, and the prosecution says, what did you tell Miss Coram? That she would have to talk to the management. Did she reach out again? Yes, I got a call from the lobby that she was there looking for me. What did she ask for? The video. How did you respond? That she had to talk to management or file a subpoena. Did you tell her what you saw in the video? Yes, I told her. Off the record, it's bad. Did you get another call? Yes, from a New York area code. It was Miss Coram. She put someone else on the phone. Who? Mr. Combs. He asked, do you know who I am? What did you say? I said yes. He asked for the video. Said he had been intoxicated. I told him I can't give the video. How did he sound, Mr. Garcia? He was talking fast and stuttering. He sounded nervous. Did you email management? Yes. Okay, bring up GX7-R-149. What is it? The email I sent. Objection. Overruled. So an email is shown and it has Miss Christina Coram's number on it and it's not redacted. It says Combs, aka P. Diddy, says he is a patron and wants to talk to you. Prosecution says, did you get more calls from Miss Coram? Yes, on my personal phone number. How did you react? Nervous. Miss Coram passed the phone to Mr. Combs again. What did he say? That I sounded like a good guy, that he could help, that something like this could ruin him. He wanted the video. He said if it got out, it would ruin his career. I told him I don't have access to the server. He told me he believed I could make it happen. He would take care of me. What did you think he meant? Money for the video? What did you do? Reached out to my supervisor about it? Who was your supervisor? Bill Medrano. He told me he would do it for $50. What did you think he meant? He'd give the video for $50,000. What did you do? Called Christina, who put Mr. Combs on, and Garcia advised Combs that both he and his boss were willing to erase the video footage for $50,000. He later testified that Combs paid a total of $100,000. While on the phone with Combs, Combs said, "Eddie, my angel, God is good. God put you in my way for a reason. I knew you could help. I knew you could do it." And then he proceeded to ask if anyone else had asked about the incident or the video. Garcia said that he told Combs that he hadn't heard anything. The next day, Medrano directed Garcia to fudge the timestamp on the shift logs and go to a high-rise in Los Angeles where he met with Mr. Combs. Combs was smiling and excited, Garcia said, while his own voice was cracking with anxiety. Garcia says Mr. Combs told Christina Courtroom to go and get me some of the tea that he liked. Then he asked, "Do you have it?" I said yes, and I handed it to him. What did he do? He left, came back. He asked if this is the only copy. And you said, "I believe so." Mr. Combs said it had to be the only copy, nothing in the iCloud. I called Mr. Medrano and he said that this was the only copy. He took it off the server. What else did you say? Now, Garcia says that when he met with Combs to sell him the video footage, he let him know that he was worried the police would come looking for it if Ventura filed a police report. Mr. Combs said, "Don't worry about it. Cassie wanted it gone too." He called her on FaceTime and showed me. She was in a hoodie, but I recognized her. What did Miss Ventura say? Garcia said that he overheard Combs tell her, "Let him know that you want the video to go away too." Ventura told Garcia she had a movie coming out and it wasn't a good time for this to come out and she wanted it to go away. He wanted my ID and that of Mr. Medrano and the responding officer, Mr. Flores, but he is a very straight guy and probably wouldn't do it, I told Mr. Medrano. What did Mr. Medrano say? We'd get Henry Elias, the other responding officer. When Mr. Combs saw the IDs, he looked at Henry's and said, "Yeah, that's him." Then he brought out the NDAs that I wouldn't speak about it. "Okay, this is GXC 106. Do you recognize this? It states I have provided the only copy of the video." Prosecution says, "Did you read the NDA?" "No, I was nervous." "Were you given a copy?" "No." "And the NDA, what were the liquidated damages?" $1 million. How much were you making an hour? $10.50. Then what? Mr. Combs put cash through the money counters. There were stacks of tens of thousands at a time. The money displayed at the screen. $100,000. Why the additional $50,000? For me and what he thought was Israel Flores. How did Mr. Combs give you the $100,000? In a brown paper bag. Was there a bodyguard there? Yes. And Miss Courtroom, was she present? I would say at some point, yes. I stood up, signifying that I'd be leaving. The hotel guard began to explain his fear of the hip-hop mogul before a sharp objection from defense attorneys, halting the line of questions. Prosecutors are trying to provide the jury with evidence that supports racketeering charges, which involves making threats to extort individuals and companies. The imagery in this testimony is strong because he brought him paper bags filled with cash. Bodyguards were also there, money counters, bands of cash, and veiled threats. Mr. Combs escorted me to my car. He asked how I'd be spending it. He said not to make any big purchases. Judge says, "Mr. Steele, if you're objecting, speak into the microphone." Okay, that's sustained. Disregard that last part. Prosecution said, "What did you do?" I called Bill Medrano and gave him $50,000. How much to Mr. Elias? $20,000. And what did you do with your $30,000? Bought a used car with cash. Child, Eddie is over there naming everybody, ain't he?
Donna, Lynn, Pat, Lori, Shelly, Aaliyah, Rose, Brian, Darren, and Ulysses.
Did you hear from Mr. Combs ever again? Yes, he reached out and said, "Happy Easter. God is good. And if I ever needed anything to let him know." And did you reach out to him later? A few years later via Instagram, asking if there was work in LA. I never heard back. Sidebar. Okay, they're back from sidebar, and the judge says, "Anything further, Miss Steiner?" Miss Steiner says, "Mr. Flores, did he ever see the video again?" "Yes, on a news outlet. Also, Mr. Flores messaged me a screenshot." "Did you keep these messages?" No, I wanted nothing to do with it. Were you contacted by law enforcement? Yes. Did you tell the truth? No, I wanted nothing to do with it. Did you get your own lawyer and then tell the truth? Yes. Nothing further. Mr. Steele, says the judge. Steele says, sir, you were in the condominium unit with Mr. Combs and others and received double what your boss was requesting. Fair? Yes. You told your boss because you were honest, right? Yes. You asked Mr. Combs for work? Yes. Steele says, let me show you the NDA. This section says exclusions. My understanding is that under the NDA, you can't speak. Steele says, but nothing stops you from telling the truth in a legal case, right? Yes. You weren't law enforcement, were you? No. Steele says, no further questions. Judge says, redirect. Prosecution says, read paragraph 4 of the NDA, starting after, however. Garcia says, notify the company to allow it to prevent disclosure. Prosecution says, so you have to notify them before saying anything? Yes. Steele says, objection. Overruled. Nothing further, says prosecution. Judge calls for break. Jury and the witness leaves. Okay, so the break is over. Judge says, let's bring our jury back out. All rise. Prosecution says, I'm going to enter a stipulation into evidence. During a search at the Miami airport, law enforcement seized 2 cell phones from Christina Courtroom's person. Prosecution says, publish that for the jury. It says 24 contacts, including Eddie My Angel and his phone number and Eddie My Angel's friend, Intercontinental. There was also a photo of the IDs on the device. Damn it, Christina. Prosecution continues. We're also entering into evidence records from Signature Bank. Judge says, any objection? Defense says no. With that, the prosecution calls Derek Ferguson. How do you know Mr. Combs? Worked for him from 1998 to 2017. What was your role, Mr. Ferguson? CFO. How were your bonuses determined? Company results and my performance. Were you responsible for managing Mr. Combs' personal finances? Yes, at times during my tenure. Who was your supervisor? Sometimes Mr. Combs himself. How often did you interact with Mr. Combs? A couple of times a week. Later, he became more of a chairman. How did you communicate with him? Back then, pagers. A photo of Uncle Polly is shown and prosecution says, who is this? Paul. And these individuals? Roger Bonds and D-Rock. They were security. Was Mr. Combs the sole owner? Yes, 100% of Bad Boy Productions and film. What was his role? Creative and marketing. Did some ventures have partners? Bad Boy Records with Arista, also Warner Brothers, and Sean John Clothing had a partner as well. What were the profits? Very profitable. How was Mr. Combs paid? Sometimes salary, sometimes distributions from the companies. What is a distribution? If solely owned or passed through like an S Corp, the owner determines the drawdown. Did each have a bank account? Yes. Could you sign on the accounts? Yes. Which banks did the Combs company use? Citibank, HSBC, and Signature Bank. What is this one? Janice Combs Music Inc. It furnished his name and likeness. Mr. Ferguson, are these your initials in section 4? Yes, it was September 29, 2009. Is this also a business checking account? Yes. And this one with Diageo about Ciroc? How was this account funded? Inflows. What about credit cards? Primarily American Express, expense reimbursements. Did Mr. Combs have an Amex? Yes. Did you use it for personal as well as professional? Yes. And the companies paid? Yes. How was outgoing cash handled? We had a petty cash account and cash advances, for example, for those traveling who didn't have American Express cards. When Mr. Combs was paid in cash, how did it work? We'd match it if a contract. Were you aware of Mr. Combs' security staff carrying cash for him? I was not aware of that. And when you were responsible for his personal finances, what did you do? Budget for the year? Properties? Inflows and outflows. What properties did he own? The Hamptons, New York, Miami. They were all held in LLCs for anonymity and liability reductions and tax benefits. Did you oversee other personal accounts of Mr. Combs? Yes. Were you aware of him supporting other people? Yes, from his personal earnings. Your Honor, this might be a good place for us to take a break. The judge says, okay. How much more with this witness? 20 minutes, we think, and Jane starting late tomorrow. We expect 2 days for her cross-examination. So only Mr. Ferguson today? Yes, and if Mr. Agnifilo cross goes long, may we stay late? Okay, so we're back from break, and the prosecution wants to admit into evidence some communication between Sean Combs and his bodyguard, D-Rock, including some that refer to Cassie Ventura. It says she wants to ice up, which prosecutors say relate to Ventura's injuries. In another, the bodyguard wrote, "She wants to see you, but you're not effing with her." Ventura has testified that many women in Combs' circle thought of D-Rock as a friend or ally, but prosecutors allege that he was actually funneling information to Combs. So with time dwindling, why haven't we seen D-Rock on the stand yet? So before the jury is brought in, judge says, "How are we doing on the compilation video?" Defense says, "We still object." Judge says, "But the compilation is put together?" "Yes," says prosecution. "We would like some material to be taken down and other relief." Okay, bring the witness back in. The witness enters, the jury enters. Prosecution says, "Mr. Ferguson, before the break, we were discussing these bank records. What is 207 Anderson LLC? Mr. Combs' property in Alpine, New Jersey. Who is the mailing address? 1710 B-Way. What are these internal transfers? There's $190,000 and $575,000 and $100,000 in December 2011. Who decided whether to initiate an internal transfer? Usually the comptroller. Do you remember these? No. And this outward transfer, to whom did it go? Cassandra Ventura. For how much? $20,000. And this one coming in? Roderick Ventura for $20,000. When did you leave the CFO position? End of 2012. Then Chief Growth Officer, the Revolt Media and TV. After you left, how often did you communicate with Mr. Combs? He texted me in 2024. I don't remember the day. Let me show you. Oh, I see. Nothing further. Judge says, Mr. Ignifilo? Ignifilo says, you grew up in the Bronx. Where did you go to high school? Stuyvesant. Where did you go to business school? Harvard, MBA, 1990. The BMG Music Group. Yes, they own over 100 music labels worldwide. They own Arista, 50% of Bad Boy Records at a certain period of time. Could Mr. Combs then do whatever he wanted? No, there were Arista agreements. Ferguson continues, coming from the Bronx, I thought he needed more companies that would hire people from the community. I saw that in Sean Combs. I thought it was a change to have an impact. What I observed with Bad Boy and with Sean Combs was a company that really gave a lot of young executives a lot of opportunities. What was the onboarding? Interview. Met some at Arista. I met Benny Medina and others. So you didn't just meet Mr. Combs and get the job. No. How did Bad Boy change from 1999 to 2012? It added other businesses. Records were getting competitive. Do you remember Notorious LLC? It was a magazine called Notorious, yes. Bad Boy Records was established in 1993. I believe it was 1996. Did Bad Boy have connections to Interscope? Yes, and UMG and Rhino. Who was Andre Harrell? He founded Uptown Records, went to Motown, then back to Bad Boy. What was the spirits business called? Eventually, it was called Combs Wine and Spirits. I was involved in the start of Diageo. What issues arose with Diageo? Objection, says prosecution. Were there any differences about how to market? There are always differences of opinion. We had conversations. How do we drive it more? Was the brand everywhere like the competitors? So according to Ferguson, Combs mainly oversaw the creative direction, and Diageo, one of the world's biggest drink makers, provided funding. When asked, Ferguson said that there were ongoing tension between Combs and Diageo over the marketing and distribution of the products because they felt the distribution was concentrated only in urban areas. Combs filed a lawsuit against Diageo alleging discriminatory business practices, which was settled in 2024. Ferguson was discussing the matter on the cross-examination when prosecutors objected to the line of questioning, which ties into the defense's theory that many people treat Combs unfairly due to his race, including the government in their prosecution against him. Ignifilo says, okay, what about Revolt? It was owned by Highbridge Capital Management, which was purchased by JP Morgan Chase. I think so. Highbridge had 2 seats? Yes, 2 of the 5 seats on Revolt. Where were you at on Revolt? Chief Operating Officer. What did that entail? Finance, production. And Sean Combs wasn't in the management, right? He was not. Let's look at DX 1901 about Combs Enterprise. Let's put up the redacted version. There's a chart now put up of the executive shown. Here you have James Cruz and the HR officer after Vashta Wilson, Andre Harrell, and yourself. This is the team. So it seems like Ignifilo is trying to portray Combs as an executive within a larger corporation made up of many complex moving parts. Ignifilo continues, was it digital? Your pause says enough. Personal versus business expenses. What's your accounting background? I was a CPA for a time. You never saw Mr. Combs sitting reviewing his Amex bill? No. So now Ignifilo is attempting to make the point that Puff wasn't personally handling every little financial detail. He had a team of professionals running the operations. There was a formal executive structure in place, so it wasn't just him making all the decisions on his own. Ignifilo continues, when there was partnership with another company, they would look at the books as well, right? Yes. Many high-profile people have personal assistants. Yes, they do. Security was part of the business? Yes. Security's job was to be in close proximity with Mr. Combs so that no one would do something dangerous to him, right? Right. Let's talk about cash. What was the cash receipt form? When is it used? For example, touring. Ignifilo says sidebar. Judge says yes. Okay, we're back. Ignifilo says, did you see anyone help Sean Combs commit crimes? No. Did anyone not pay taxes they were supposed to pay or do something they weren't supposed to do? Ferguson said he would have never intentionally allowed fraud in the company. Did you see anyone make the company stronger through coercion? Can you explain that one? What did you mean by coercion? Fair enough, says Ignifilo. Ignifilo says through SA or trafficking. No, you were there 19 years. How hard was it? Building from scratch, long hours. Did you send Mr. Combs a text message in November 2017? I don't know. I'll show you. Did you tell Mr. Combs you learned so much from him? Yes, he pushed the entire team. He had passion. You're a religious man? Objection, says prosecution. Sustained. You're on the board of his charter school? Yes. The school tries to work with at-risk children? Objection, 403. Sustained. Let's move on. Do you think highly of Mr. Combs? I don't know how to respond to that. Sidebar, says prosecution. Nothing further, says Ignifilo. Judge says redirect. Was Revolt Films entirely separate from Revolt TV? Yes. Who was the head of Revolt Films? I don't know. Did you ever stay in a hotel room with Mr. Combs? No. On this organization chart, who is the chairman? Sean Combs. And you see Christina Courtroom here? Yes. Do you see the name Mia? Development and acquisitions. Nothing further. Judge says recross. Ignifilo says you didn't go to his home or hotel because that's his personal life, right? Objection, says prosecution. Sustained. Ignifilo says nothing further. Jurors, you may go. All rise. Prosecution says with Jane tomorrow, we want to avoid the type of accident that happened with Mia. So we want the public screens turned off. We want to avoid a situation where accidentally a non-redacted version goes up. Okay, for Jane's testimony, says the judge. So with trial date number 15, the RICO charge is being tied into the trial through a pattern of alleged criminal behavior that prosecutors argue are not random, but part of a coordinated and organized enterprise led by Combs. So the RICO statutes require the criminal activity to affect interstate commerce. Prosecutors are attempting to connect the dots between Diddy's businesses, such as Bad Boy and his fashion ventures, to luxury hotel incidents across multiple states, and flights to places like St. Bart's or Las Vegas, all of which involve crossing states or national lines, which is a critical RICO element. Now, witnesses like Mia, Capricorn Clark, and George Kaplan have all helped to illustrate how people close to Diddy allegedly worked under pressure or threat, were ordered to lie or cover things up, or feared for their safety and careers if they disobeyed him. This builds an image of a top-down operation with Diddy as the leader of a coordinated structure. The defense, however, is pushing back hard against the RICO charges by arguing that Sean P. Diddy Combs was simply running legitimate businesses, not a criminal enterprise. They claim his companies like Bad Boy Records and Revolt operated with formal executive structures and multiple layers of decision makers, meaning Combs wasn't personally directing or orchestrating every action. According to the defense, this case doesn't meet the legal standards for RICO because there was no clear pattern of racketeering. Instead, they argue that the prosecution is stringing together isolated and unconnected incidents that took place over many years, trying to frame them as part of a coordinated plan when they are not. Additionally, the defense is challenging the idea of coercion, saying the alleged victims were adults who made their own choices, including staying in certain relationships or work environments. Many of them were paid or compensated, and there's no solid evidence they were physically forced to do anything. This undermines the idea that force, fraud, or coercion, key elements of trafficking and racketeering, were involved. Lastly, the defense is emphasizing that Combs delegated tasks like any high-level executive would. If employees or associates acted out of line, that doesn't prove Combs ordered or even knew about it. Their main message is that Combs wasn't running a criminal empire, he was running businesses, and this case doesn't fit in the role of a RICO prosecution. What I need to do is hear from you. What do you think about everything currently going on in the trial of Diddy? Leave a comment, and you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Thanks for watching, but before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any of my new episodes.